Hello guys, today I will show you my 5 favorite tier 10 tanks. Let's go. So the 5th place goes to the AMX-50B, the French auto-loading tier 10 heavy tank, which out of the shitbarn, 50B, T-57 and Kremwang is definitely my favorite. What do I love about this tank? I love the mobility, I love the gun, and I also love the fact that the front is just so well armored that people are not even aware of that, so you can definitely throw some people with the armor. And in my opinion this tank is probably the best tank for doing damage, because this is my highest average damage tank, which is over 4k. And yeah, I mean, if you are looking for an auto-loading tier 10 tank, I would recommend this one the most, because it's just simply so good, at least in my opinion. But now let's move into the 4th tank. And that is none other than the E100. Out of the 3 German super heavies, this one is my favorite by far, simply because the gun is better than on the VKK and on the mouse, it's faster than those tanks, and the armor is probably a little bit worse, but I'm not playing this tank mainly for the armor but for the gun. Just the ability to outtrade basically anything is really good to have, and the armor works against AP shells if you can hide the lower plate. As soon as the enemy loads heat, it's kind of paper, but otherwise it's really good. And this tank still holds my damage record, which is 8600. And all of these things combined make the E100 the top 4 on my list. The 3rd place on the list goes to the T125, and if you are watching the streams like regularly, or you are just watching the videos regularly, then you know which tier 10 tanks are my favorites. I decided to put the E5 to the 3rd place, and that's because it's just a jack of all trades heavy tank. It has really good armor, it has a good gun in my opinion, and you know, the mobility is also fine. The only problem which people actually find with the E5 is the gun handling sometimes, but all it takes really is to aim fully, and the aim time is not that slow on the E5, so in my opinion this tank is just perfect. In fact, I think this is the best Tech 3 tier 10 heavy tank, so if you are looking for something like that, then I can definitely recommend this one. It's good for fighting with mediums, it's good for fighting against heavies, armor can work if you know how to use it, gun is amazing, it has insane pen, it has average alpha damage, the DPM is also not as good as on the FV215B, but like I said, this tank has so many things over the FV215B, at least for me, that it can definitely take the 3rd place on my list. So the 2nd place goes to the STB-1, which is my favorite tier 10 medium tank by far, and that's simply because this tank has everything. It has good cooldown capabilities, it has a really good gun, and it has good mobility. I would pick this tank over an E50M, over a Patton, over a T62A, a 140, a Progetto, a Leo, over anything, because it's not situational like a Leo for example, or a T62A. This tank has minus 10 degrees of gun depression, which means that you can use it anywhere, basically. You have good pen if you use calibrated shells, which again means that you can use it even against heavies. It has good mobility to compete with other mediums. This tank, in my opinion, is just the perfect medium. Is it OP though? It can be, because it has everything, it has no weakness. They decided to buff the side armor, so now you can even side scrape and it doesn't get HE'd through the side anymore. And seriously, all of these things combined make the STB my 2nd place on the list. And like, as you can see in this game as well, I'm just farming people, I'm not taking any damage, just because this tank has such a good turret armor, it has everything which I need for this map. And honestly, this tank is good for every single map. I can't say a map where I'm like, this game is gonna be shit with the STB. I just, like, whenever I discovered this tank, I just found the perfect medium, for me at least. Let me know what you think about the STB, or which tier 10 medium is your favorite. because now we are gonna jump into place number 1. And the first place is taken by none other than the Chieftain Mark 6. Yes, this tank is my favorite tank in the game, no matter what tier we are looking at, no matter what tank type we are looking at, this tank is just my favorite tank. And what's the reason for that? It's like an STB but a heavy tank. It has good mobility for a heavy tank, it has really good armor, it has really good cooldown capabilities, as you can see here, just bouncing that Yak Panzer like nothing. And it has a really good gun with amazing gun handling. The only issue with this tank, for me at least, is sometimes the penetration is not enough to deal with like very well armored tanks like IS-7 for example, or IS-4, you know. But that's just, you know, that happens in such a low amount of situations that I wouldn't even consider that an issue. Another thing which this tank doesn't have is side armor, so that means that you cannot side scrape, but honestly I played like 600 or 700 games with this tank so far and I've never had an issue with that. And as you can see, another advantage of the Chieftain is the HE. The HE has, I think, 110 penetration, which is just huge for an HE shot. You can literally pen anything through the ass, well, unless it's a German super heavy. And you can pen the sides of so many tanks as well that it's just amazing. It has really good DPM, really good turret armor, good mobility, good gun handling. It has everything that you need. And as you can see, all you need to do with this tank is just to put it into a cooldown situation, and after that you are gonna be able to deal with anything. Like as you can see, I'm dealing with Yak Panzer E100, which is German super heavy TD, which has like 300 base pen, and is unable to do jack shit against me. And you know, like this tank is just perfect in my opinion. That doesn't mean that it's for everyone, because it's not the easiest tank to play. For example, I think the E5 is easier to play because it has better hull armor, but for better players I think this tank is gonna be slightly more effective than the T110 E5. Anyway, let me know what you think about this list, or you can also tell me which tier 10 tanks are your favorites. I hope you enjoyed it overall, and I will see you next time. Goodbye guys.